Okay, so now this is going to be the second installment of the Jim's Picks. First one we did was The Millionaire Next Door, and I thought that was just the best book ever. And a few people have actually bought it and sent me a screenshot of the book that they bought, and it's $11. I would encourage you to do this. This one is going to be Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, I'm sure you've heard about it. Kiyosaki does a really good job on it. By the way, he was a Marine too. Love that. He talks about growing up, he had two dads. Now, one was his biological dad, and then the other one was his friend's dad. His biological dad was in the educational system, and his biological dad said, go to school, get good grades, go get a job with benefits that pays good. Okay. And then his friend's dad said, go to school, get good grades, get a job for a very short period of time, and then go start your own business. Right. So there's a lot of lessons in that, but there's a thing that he talks about, that Kiyosaki talks about, that's really, really important, is about cash flow. And he talks about, is it cash flow from going to work every day, or is it cash flow from passive income? And his dad, Kiyosaki's biological dad, talked about cash flow from going to work every day, and his friend's dad, his rich dad, was talking about passive income. So what the book really breaks down to is how important it is to make money, one, cash flow, but then what it is that you do with that money. How do you invest that money? How do you create passive revenue from the money you make? Like for me, I always say, I didn't make my money, I did make a lot of money selling sticks, selling real estate. But that's not where I made my wealth. I made my money from what I did with the money from selling the real estate. All right. And that's what that book is about. And I learned that when I read that book about, 25, 30 years ago. I had to read it several times because I didn't really understand it the first time. And even the second time, I didn't understand it. But this is a fantastic book that starts talking about, now it doesn't tell you what assets to invest into. It just tells you need to invest in assets. And you got to do that on your own, on your own accord, because that book's 25, 30 years old. What they said back then isn't relevant now. But you still have to look at, it's not the money you make from going to work. It's what you do with the money that you make going to work. And you want that passive revenue that come in, that mailbox money, that money that when you go to sleep, you wake up richer than when you went to sleep. That's what passive income does. And that's another great book about passive income. If you guys like what I say on these things, just let us know, subscribe if you catch it on one of those channels that you like and subscribe on. And if you want to let us know if you want to be on the newsletter, we'll make sure you never miss a video. All right, take care.